Hello, lovelies. Welcome to Mama G Gear. It's Mama G here, and today's going to be a simple, quick, easy little craft. It's scrunchies, crocheted scrunchies. The supplies you would be needing would be some kind of a hairband. I do highly recommend that you use a little better quality hairband because you don't want to be pulling it the first time and having all your hard work fall apart by the hairband snapping. Have had that happen, so I'll put those aside out of the way. Here's 4 of them. I actually did a tutorial and finished this one and then realized that I was way off camera. So we're redoing it. All right, so there's 4 examples. Today we're going to use the Premier Just Yarn worsted weight, which is a 4 weight. You can use a 3 weight if you'd like. I mean, you could use any size. You could use a 5 weight if you'd like to, which I think would be a little too thick. Wouldn't recommend that. A crochet hook. I'm using a 4.5. I just like to do a shout out to my friend Tank. She had made this for me and I absolutely love it. You can use a 5.5, whatever hook you find. I wouldn't go maybe too big because you don't want the loops to be too big. And a pair of scissors. And here is a hair tie. So let's try this tutorial one more time, shall we? All right, I'm going to leave these off to the side. So something a little pretty you can look at. Grab our end of our yarn. And I'm going to grab a little bit of yarn out of here and set it aside. So now the first thing we do is, actually I'm going to push those up a little bit. Make your beginning of a chain or whatever you'd call this, slip stitch. And I'm giving myself a little bit of a tail because I'm going to use this to tie the other side of it together. So I might have used a little more. You don't really need this long, but it's fine. So with one hand, I'm going to hold this loose. You don't want to be really tight on undoing these because you want it to move smoothly around the hairband. But what I'm going to start with is a double crochet because I want my tail to be at the top. Like I'll show you on this one here. I want my tail to be up here, not down by the hairband, because when you tie the 2 ends together, you want it to be tall, not scrunched up. You know, like if I tied this to the hairband, it would be doing that. So we don't want that to happen. So this is why I do this. So I have grab my yarn. I usually just hold my yarn like this, and I'm putting my fingers in to the loop. And let's see here. There we go. I had the wrong fingers. All right, so I'm going to hold this a little bit closer to the hook. This is not a tight, there's a little bit of movement there because I'm going to pull this through. So I'm going to hold this with my finger, and I'm going to put the yarn over like that because we're going to start with the double crochet. Now, taking your hook, go inside of the hairband. I yarned over. I'm going to grab that piece, and I'm still holding on with my finger here. I'm going to pull it through. See how that's in there? And then yarn over, pull through both of those. So I pull through the loop that I put over the hook. And now I'm just going to grab the bottom part, yarn over, and pull through both. Okay, I hope that was, I hope you were able to follow that. And now my tail is up top, not really close to the hairband. Okay, so that's our first double crochet. And we're going to do a series of double crochets all around this band. What I like to do is chain 1 in between. You don't have to, but it does give it a little bit more of a scrunchy look. So now it's just a series of yarn over, pull through, there's our chain. Now we're going to do another double. So we're going to loop it, go into the hole, up to the back, grab it, pull it to the front. I grab here, pull through 2, and yarn over again, pull through the next 2. That's a double crochet. Yarn over, pull through, there's a chain. Okay, so we're yarning over. Again, I'm holding on, going up through, grab it, pull that up, loop it up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and another chain. So we're looping, scooping, grabbing, and pulling, and then one more chain. So we're looping, scooping, grabbing, pulling, chain, loop, scoop, pull through, chain, loop, scoop, grab it, pull through 2, pull through 2, one more makes a chain. So we're doing this is a double crochet stitch and a chain 1, and a double crochet stitch and a chain 1, and we continue to do this not only all around the hair tie, but we're going to squish it. So we're going to actually be pulling tension on that hair tie. So that's going to give us the scrunchy effect. Because once you spread this out and you want to wrap it around your hair, your ponytail or whatever, you want it to be pretty full. So that could be a mistake if you don't do that. Also too, and I'll show you, there we go, see how I'm pulling it? I'm going to pull it on that side and see how it's scrunching up there, and it exposes that much more, and as we go we'll pull and expose more. All right, so you want to not have major tension on your stitch. There's many different ways to hold your hook, and some people hold it. I'm holding it kind of like a knife, I guess it's called a knife hold. And I'm also not doing tight stitches. I'm just really loosely pulling it through. I'm not choking up on anything. You don't want it to be too loose because then it's going to be wonky looking. But when you start doing it, you'll see, oh, it's a little too loose, a little too tight. But you want it a good tension that it's going to be able to slide well around that hairband. And we were back at the second half of the double crochet and a chain 1. So there's our double and our chain. So loop it, scoop it, drag it through, chain 1. Loop it, scoop it. All right, and the reason I'm starting these for my regular Yarnolicious family would probably not be interested in this at all because they all know how to crochet already. But I've had a few people ask me to please do some simple, easy craft ideas or just things to learn how to crochet. All right, so see how I pulled it? So now we've got kind of like a little bit of a ruffle going. So this is called yarn over. Go through, grab that piece, and I've got enough tension where it's not going to be loose like that. See how that's loose? You want enough tension. So this is where you're holding your tension. And I'm holding that, pulling it through. Now I can let it go a little bit, but then I want to keep it still a little bit of a tension so that when I pull it through, it's pretty consistent. It seems difficult to start when you first start. It's a little bit you got to keep playing with it till you find your tension. And even experienced crocheters battle with tension sometimes. You know, depending on what stitch you're making, or what kind of yarn you're using, and so on and so forth, it does, you know, you have to be mindful of your tension. So we're yarning over, scooping through there, pull that up. Again, I have my tension here, and I'm yarning over. I'm going to pull through 2, yarn over again, pull through 2, and I hardly have any tension on it right now. But you don't want to go too loose. See how that's too loose? See what happens if it's too loose? It's going to be very wonky. So I'm going to pull that out. I want it to have a little bit of, so I'm pulling tension now, but not too much. Pull it through, and then a chain. Yeah, this is a half double. A double crochet. This is the double crochet, and then that's a chain 1. And then it's a matter of just going around, and I'm hoping that I'm not going too fast for you, but I want to get this to the end so I can show you how you join these together and how you deal with this part that we're getting up to right now. So there's my complete of the set of the double and the chain, and it looks closed, but there's still a lot of room if I spread it out. We don't want that much of the hairband showing. So we're going to pull this. Don't be afraid to, you know, pull. You don't want to have, when you're done, you don't want this to be so stretched out. But as you're crocheting, you want to make yourself some room to work. So it's good to give it a good tug. And that's another reason why, you do want to get a little better quality hair scrunchie to do these, so that when you do pull them, they don't fall apart. So literally just double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, and I'm pulling as I'm going. If you also notice, I'm kind of cupping the other tail in with my holding this part of it, so that I don't accidentally, when you're getting to this part, you might accidentally hit into here when you're crocheting, and then you'll be pulling the yarns out, which I did in the last tutorial, to be honest with you. And that's another reason why myself personally, I don't hold my hook way down here. I kind of choke up on it like I'm playing baseball. Yeah, I know my sports, right? You choke up on the bat, not on the basketball. Now we're getting near where it's getting tight. I'm going to give it another pull. Oh, chain 1. And if you forget a chain, you don't have to worry about it. You're not really going to notice it. In the scheme of things, it'll all blend in. And these unconventional tutorials are really guidelines for you to be more creative on your own. Like I'm doing a double crochet and a chain 1. You can do half double crochets all around. You could do a single crochet if you want. You can not put the chain 1 in between, or you can chain 2 in between. You really can do what you want with this. So it's definitely, once you learn the stitches, this is a great and fun way to kind of play with different combinations of stitches to see how they'll look and what you could do with them. Let's see, give it a tug and see how much we see. Well, maybe we'll throw a couple more in there. Let's do 2 more. So now I'm kind of pulling on the hairband. That might be a little bit, and then I'm pulling this away so I've got my stitches. This is all stuff that you'll get real easily once you start feeling more comfortable. Oops, see how I grabbed that? That happens. All right, so we're going to polish this one off at this point. So I'm going to chain my chain 1, and now I'm going to pull. This is the working yarn where it's sliding, but the other piece, I'm going to give that a good tug. And then with our trusty, let's put it properly, crane scissors. These are called crane scissors. I always called them hummingbird scissors because I thought it looked like a hummingbird, and I happen to love hummingbirds. But they are crane, and the reason, I guess there's some historical value to them and why they're called crane, because the midwives used to use, I guess, a similar scissor or perhaps this style to cut the umbilical cord when they were delivering babies for people. All right, so now, I'm sorry, I'm talking about that, and I should be talking about this. So here's our two ends. Here's our beginning, here's our end, and we're going to tie them together. This is why I like to start with that double crochet being way up there. So we're going to do a knot, pull it not too tight, but to where the stitches are touching one another. And then I'm going to go cross over, do another tie from this side. And it's always a good measure to do a tie from the other side as well. And that is because if you keep tying from one side, it won't necessarily bend this over and it'll just slide right out. That has happened to me. So I go back and forth one end and then tie with the other end and then give it a good strong tug, snip, throw away your tags, and there we go. We've got a nice little scrunchie. Now the one I did in the last tutorial was this one, and I ended up doing a single crochet in the tops of every stitch on here. All right, so I'm going to show you, and I shouldn't have lost my spot. There's where we started, so I'm going to show you how that works. Let me grab my little blue ball. Yes, I did say that. And I'm going to put these here because the little blue ball, when you're using them, likes to roll around. All right, again, we're going to start. We're going to keep a little tail, make a crossover, put your loop, kind of made a pretzel. Oh, sorry about that. I dropped my pretzel. So we crossed over, bend it down. We've got the pretzel, and we're going to pull that pretzel end up through, give it a tug. There is our beginning stitch. And I'm not going to go through all of this on this one because this part here that I'm going to show you. If you're going to do this, it's going to take a little time because there's so many of these stitches. If you're going to do what I'm saying and you don't want to take this much time, and you would actually be doing half the amount of stitches, is if you don't chain one in the middle and between the two double crochets. So I put it through. Let me show you what I did. There's the top stitch. Pull it through. Pull it up, and we're just going to do a chain, a single chain, and literally going through every stitch with, and I'm not going into the top stitch right now on each one. I'm going on the top chain of that one, and then I'm just going into the stitch on this one instead of going into the see that right here? That is technically the chain one that's in between the two double crochets, but I'm going in between the stitch here just because it's a lot easier. And again, in the scheme of things, it'll look just as nice, and it will take me a lot less time to do it this way because I struggled with the last one, to be honest with you. I was like, this was not, I immediately regret this decision. So I'm literally just going through see the V? That's your chain. Pull through, there's another chain stitch, and then I'm going through the actual stitch instead of putting it through the chain. And this is so much better, quicker, easier. And this particular little blue ball of yarn that I'm using right now is a little splitty. And if you don't understand what that means, is that when the different fibers are joined together and you start crocheting, they start to separate, and you can actually put your hook through the yarn itself. And that would be why it's splitty. Let's see, nope, let's go just through the stitch. It's so much quicker to do it this way. Holy moly, rock and rolly. Because that's through the stitch. So I'm basically, again, alternating. There's the top of the double crochet, and then I'm going where we did that chain 1, I'm just going underneath that chain 1. And this is so much quicker than through the stitch, in between the stitches, top of the double crochet, in between the stitches. Yeah, so you basically just keep rocking and rolling around here and through the stitch. And then when you get to the end, you do the same thing as you did with the main part, is just tie it off, pull that last stitch all the way through, tie them together just like you did before. Alternate your tails when you're tying so that you get a good sturdy tie, and then snip it off with your little crane scissors, or whatever scissors you're using. There's some really cute scissors out there. Some of them are really cool, like vintage looking. And my little ball is rolling around, which distract me. Oh, excuse me, I'm going to put you on hold. Okay, I turned you off because I had a cough, and started to, or continued to go along, but I stopped and put you back on because I wanted you to see how that's splitting up? And that's what I'm talking about as far as splitting. So I'm literally going to back off and pull that. Here's my hoops, my little loops. All right, and then again, what we're doing here, and I put my little ball inside of here because it was rolling all over the place. And this is a great scrap yarn craft. They do sell, we sell them at the shop. And these are also great little projects for craft fairs. I don't know if I mentioned that. I think I might have mentioned that in the other video that I did, and I had to redo, which is what I'm doing now. But, if you're doing a craft fair, throw a few of these. They don't take long. Put a few, handful or more, and put them in a little bowl. And I almost can guarantee that at least some of them will sell because they really are fun. You don't have to charge much because it doesn't take long. So if somebody's visiting your table, it's always good to have items that are under $5, so that if you are engaging in conversation with anybody coming by your table and they feel like they want to purchase something but maybe don't really have the money, they might purchase one of these or something under $5 just to show their patronage and kindness. So again, I'm just kind of going through in between the stitches, doing a chain, and then going to the top of the stitch, going in between the stitches. And I will say that what I did on that other one was every stitch. That took a long time. So I highly recommend doing this and going through the stitches instead of trying to get in that chain 1. So yeah, absolutely. Thumbs up on that for me. Okay, so we're at the end. Look at how nice and scrunchy that is. So that was our last stitch, and here's our beginning. So I'm gonna give it a little bit of a tug, and then just do one more chain 1 and pull. Again, we're pulling. This is the working yarn. So we're gonna cut that off, and then we're gonna pull it through, then give that a pull. You could even take your fingernails and kind of, because that will not stay just the way it is. you'd have to like tie it off a little bit better. But on this project, again, we're just going to tie the beginning and the ending tails together, giving it a pretty good snug there. Then do that side, and then I'm going to go through on this other side and pull that through. Give it a tug and go again on the other tag. So that was 3 pretty good ties. Pull them up. So if you like what you see, please consider subscribing if you're not. There is a playlist down below, Unconventional Tutorials, which is where I will drop all of these kinds of tutorials. And, yeah, check that out. I do other things besides crochet. There'll be needle felting, wet felting, and all kinds of stuff. Also in the regular playlist, the Yarny and Crafty Stuff playlist, is dyeing yarns and all that kind of stuff. And also we have a lot of fun and banter when Rusty and I are together. So it's kind of a fun channel. I just thought, doing these little tutorials of simple stuff for you. I did have, like I said, a few people had asked if I would. And I thought, you know what? Yeah. So somebody who's starting out, since I'm not a really, professional crocheter of any sort, yeah, I could share little simple, easy things to do. And we did a double crochet, and I think I might have mentioned it, but I will repeat if I did. But this was a double crochet with a chain in between. You could look up other stitches, do half doubles, do a treble stitch is really actually very pretty, which is instead of just 1 loop over, you do 2 loops over. Look it up. I'll try to maybe do tutorials on just plain stitches so that you could learn your basic stitches. And yeah, you could really mess around with these with different ideas. And yeah, you wear it as a bracelet. It works fine as a bracelet. And then you go out, it gets hot, take it off and put it in your hair. And these both work for guys and gals, because I know a lot of men that have beautiful long hair that do use ponytails and use these. I've sold them to them. Alrighty. Yeah, enjoy your rest of your yarnolicious day. I hope you enjoyed this. Please do give a thumbs up. Don't forget, if you're not subscribed, I'd appreciate the subscribing and becoming a member to our Yarnolicious family. And I guess that's it. We'll see you again with another yarn unconventional tutorial and a Yarnolicious tutorial to boot. Bye-bye for now. That's better.